but nobody can speak for the man better than himself. Please welcome Kendrick Lamar. Oh, y'all gotta make some more noise than that.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive. You know, if you're here, you're probably hearing the same thing. We are.
Right.
Kendrick broke the internet. Kendrick broke the internet.
It seems like it.
And we're going to try to figure out what that actually means and what he actually did.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you break the internet?
I don't think you can actually break the internet.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, you know what it means, but you don't really know what it means.
Well, it's like when something just captures the zeitgeist and everybody's talking about it, and it's just kind of everywhere you look, it's
everywhere.
Inescapable.
So let's dive into it. So where do we even begin with this whole, like, Kendrick situation?
Well, I think a good place to start is with the recent flurry of interviews that he's done.
Oh, yeah.
Like, over the past few weeks, there's been a bunch of really in-depth interviews with Kendrick.
And these aren't just like your typical, you know, kind of promotional pre-album interviews. These are like, you know, deep dives.
Yeah, they're long form, and they're not just about the music, they're about his creative process.
Yeah.
His worldview.
Okay, so we're talking multiple interviews dropped kind of all at the same time.
Exactly.
I feel like that in itself is a strategy.
It feels very deliberate.
Yeah.
Like, it's a way to kind of like really dominate the conversation and control the narrative.
Well, and you know, when you have that much content all coming out at once,
Yeah.
it's just like a tidal wave.
You can't escape it.
You can't escape it, right?
And it creates this like anticipation and excitement.
Yeah.
Like, what's he gonna say next?
I want to look at it like...
What's he gonna do next?
Okay, so let's pick out a few of the threads here that were most interesting. So one of the things that I heard
Yeah.
that I thought was so interesting was his
Yeah.
his process of not listening to any music
While he's working on an album.
while he's working on an album.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
To me, that's wild.
It's extreme.
Like, how do you, as a musician, not listen to music?
It's like a chef not tasting food. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense when you think about the level of focus
Exactly.
and the intentionality.
He's trying to create something completely original.
Yeah.
And I think for him to do that, he needs to kind of like block out all those outside influences.
I guess so. I guess.
And you can really hear that in his music. Like, it's so unique.
Yeah, it's so distinct.
Doesn't sound like anything else.
Okay, so that was one thing that really stood out to me, and made me think about, you know, how he approaches his creative process.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you have like all of this social commentary
Yes.
that he's always been known for.
He's never been one to shy away from difficult topics. And in these interviews, he's really going in depth on issues like systemic racism,
Yeah.
economic inequality.
Specifically, he was talking in the New Yorker interview about wealth disparity
Yes.
within the Black community.
And he was really critical of like the systems that perpetuate these disparities.
Right.
And how they make it difficult for Black people to build wealth and achieve economic justice.
Yeah, it wasn't just about calling out the problems. It was about really trying to understand like the nuances of the situation
Absolutely.
and how these systems are intertwined.
And how they impact people's lives on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so we've got this interesting like juxtaposition
Yeah.
of like creative process on one hand and then social commentary on the other.
And they're both kind of like interwoven.
Yeah.
They're not separate things.
But you know what I think is really interesting is how fans are responding.
The fan reaction has been incredible.
It's amazing. Like, I've seen everything from people just like freaking out
Yeah.
and losing their minds to like
Deep analysis
people doing like close readings
of every single word.
of every single lyric.
It's like they're treating his interviews like sacred texts.
I saw this one tweet
Yeah.
where someone was like analyzing the background of one of the interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Like what books were on the shelf,
Trying to find clues.
trying to find clues
About the new album.
about the new album.
It's amazing the level of dedication.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to
Yeah.
how much he means to people.
He's not just an entertainer, he's like a cultural icon.
Yeah.
People really look up to him.
And they respect his opinion.
Absolutely.
Okay, so fans are freaking out, that's clear.
Yeah.
But I think it's also interesting to look at how other artists and critics are responding.
The industry buzz has been really positive. I think a lot of people are recognizing that Kendrick is in a league of his own.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just a rapper, he's an artist.
Right.
He's a visionary.
And I think a lot of people are really inspired by his fearlessness
Absolutely.
in tackling these difficult issues.
He's not afraid to speak truth to power.
Yeah, and to use his platform to
Yeah.
elevate these important conversations.
And that's really inspiring to other artists.
Yeah, I wonder if you see any parallels between what Kendrick's doing and like other movements or artists that are happening right now.
I think there's definitely a connection to like the broader movement for social justice and racial equality.
Okay.
Like we're seeing more and more artists who are using their platform to speak out against injustice.
Yeah, and I think Kendrick's been doing this for a long time.
He's been a pioneer in that sense.
Right.
He's been doing this since the beginning of his career.
And he's never wavered in his commitment to those issues.
And I think that's why people respect him so much.
Okay, so we're talking about all this new stuff, but I think it's interesting to look back at, his previous work.
Definitely.
And I think the most obvious comparison here is to Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, that was a landmark album.
It was a landmark album, and that album really sparked a lot of conversations.
About race?
About race, about identity.
About America.
It was a very challenging album.
Yeah, it was.
But it was also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And I think it had a profound impact on culture. Do you think we're seeing a similar level of impact this time around?
I think it's too early to say, but there are definitely some similarities. Like, to Pimp a Butterfly, these interviews are forcing us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and about the world we live in.
And I think that's what makes Kendrick so important.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the interviews, the fan reactions, the industry buzz.
Yeah.
What about the future? What's next?
That's the big question, isn't it?
What do you think, based on everything we've talked about, what direction do you see him going in?
Well, knowing Kendrick, it's going to be something unexpected. He's always pushing boundaries. He's always innovating.
Okay.
I think we can expect to see him experimenting with new sounds.
Yeah.
Maybe incorporating elements of jazz or even classical music.
That's exciting.
I know. I'm excited to see what he does next.
Are there any confirmed events or anything that people should be looking out for?
Well, he hasn't announced a new album or a tour yet. But there are rumors that he might be performing at Coachella this year.
Oh, really?
So that's something to keep an eye on.
All right. Well, I think that about covers it. I mean, we've gone through a lot here.
We have.
We've talked about
Kendrick's interviews.
The
fan reactions.
The
industry buzz.
I think it's safe to say that Kendrick Lamar has once again cemented his place
as one of the most important artists of our generation.
Yeah, he's a true visionary.
Absolutely.
And I think what's so inspiring about him is his unwavering commitment to using his art.
To spark conversation.
To challenge us, to make us think.
And to inspire change.
Yeah. So as we wait eagerly for whatever he's going to do next, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What does Kendrick's journey tell us about the evolving role of artists in society?
That's a great question.
Yeah, something to think about.
Definitely.
All right, until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep it deep.
We'll see you soon.
See you. All right. Bye.